CW versus JP, said in my best Northeast accent. JP, how's it going, mate?
That was absolutely terrible. Mate.
There you go. It's like we are the Ant and Dec of estate agents.
Yeah, except we're a bit taller.
Did you know? It's just a quick one. Ant and Dec. Ant's always on the left because they always stand there, so you can say Ant and Dec. Did you know that?
Ah, I didn't know that.
There you go, mate. Look, the purpose of this is we get on like a house on fire. We're good mates, and I said, why don't we just put the video camera on for 30 minutes and just chew the fat about what's happening. You know, today's date is Wednesday, the 17th of June. Well, let's start with the market. It's kind of like everybody's jumped in and is running around like a headless chicken. I don't know whether that's because A, the market's quite good, or B, they've still got half their staff on furlough. What are you hearing?
Bit of both, in honest. So, you know, we've had that pipeline. It's been that frustration not being able to move, whether it's renting or buying, for a good 3 months now. So when the you know, the shackles are off and it's like, you know, get yourself away with it, there's going to be massive amount of increased activity. Is it naturally increased activity? We don't know yet. But the sure thing is, the best way it was described to me was, it's like a hose pipe, and you've nipped the end, and it's a cartoon hose pipe, and it just builds up and up and up and up and up. You let go, all of a sudden you're going to get excess water coming out. But at some point, it's going to go back to a normal flow. I think coupled with the fact that not everybody is back to full time, there's still got staff on furlough, so it just exacerbates the perceived activity or the perceived busyness of it. But again, once the furlough scheme ends and you've got to bring people back or make them redundant, and the activity goes down to normal levels, you know, is it sustainable? So I think the next 3 months are going to be, next 6 months are going to be very interesting for estate agents and letting agents.
Do you think many agents will make people redundant? Yeah,
I think so, because, you know, it's all about input and output in terms of expenditure and income. And if your output, your expenditure is more than your income, then, you know, you need to make some drastic changes to your finances. And that will mean, you know, getting rid of your right moves or your other portals, getting rid of your biggest expense. And normally, you know, your staff are your biggest overhead in our industry.
What's your opinion on this Rightmove thing? I mean, the report came out yesterday from Say No to Rightmove, and they're saying ditch Rightmove, go on Zoopla because it's free, and go on the market. I know we've spoken about it before, but just in case people haven't seen that video, what's your stance on all this?
Look, Rightmove are a big corporate, right? And they've got big corporate values. They're all after shareholder value. Right, they can spin it and twist it and say that they care about the clients, but, you know, I can't think of another industry where 95 to 99% of the clients hate the supplier, but they can't or won't leave. It's you know, it's a very tough decision to make. If you get value from it, stay on. If you don't, come off, but just shut up about it. Absolutely sick to death of people talking about it, and also it's as if it's turned inward, because I've seen a lot of agents bullying other agents about being on Rightmove. You know, that's not helping the matter. That's actually, you're being a bit of a douche, to be honest. Just let other people run their business how they want, and you run yours how you want.
It's a bit like when you were, you know, in your early 20s, and let's say as a couple you didn't have kids, but everyone with kids used to say you need to have kids because it's kind of, I've made the decision, so I want to look okay. I want to look okay, so I'm going to make sure everyone else makes the decision, even if it's the wrong decision. Yeah. It's interesting that they've only got 3,000 or 4,000 offices, but the silent majority have not, you know, you're not telling me that 75% of the UK estate agency population don't go on social media, because they've been all over it like a tramp on chips, haven't they?
Yeah. No, there will be. And again, it's a bit like, you want to see how will your competitor come off and then you come off. I've had several phone calls of competing agents, several, saying, will you come off Rightmove and we'll come off it. Like, a lot of agents have phoned us. And I do know other agents have phoned some of my clients to say, well, if you come off it, I'll come off it as well.
But surely, if you're worried about what your competitor's doing, surely you should be worried about what you're doing. You know, that's almost...
Yes, yeah, right. emotional intelligence wise, you would say yes, you would, yeah. But also from a competitive advantage point of view, people have got this in their mind that there's so many people that Rightmove is the only portal that people will only use you if you're on Rightmove. So you don't want to hamstring yourself by you coming off it and then everybody else staying on it, or a couple of your competitors. You don't want to hand them the advantage. It's the anticipation. I mean, I know you talk about fear a lot, and I love that. And it is the fear of, I'm the only one. What happens if I'm off and my competitors stay on?
But if you actually see, I mean, there's a great video, great role play that Ian White did with Rob Sargent about a week ago, actually. And if you have no plan, then you are royally rogered. But if you have a plan, he was coming up with things by actually using it to your advantage and targeting properties that are on the market with agents who are on Rightmove and saying, well, you've been on the market with Rightmove. Rightmove is old hat. Do you want to go down the new fancy way of selling houses using the power of social media? And I thought that was extremely clever. And please do check that video out, boys and girls, anyone watching this. I think it's mindset. What is the mindset? Why do agents, I mean, intrinsically agents, if we're using profiling people, you're aware of the disc profiling system, which most agents are the I profile, which means they're outward going people, they use their persuasive skills to get business. But their biggest fear is rejection. Do you think they're fearing, is that what they're fearing?
So if you look at it, a lot of agents are not making a huge amount of money, right? We've had the recent coronavirus, we've had the tenant fee ban, the Deregulation Act way back in 2015. We've had more legislation and compliance thrown at us in the last couple of years than in the previous 20, 25 years. It's not easy to be an estate agent or a letting agent in these days. You have to be efficient, effective, systemized. You spend a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat and tears on training your staff. The three issues that people have as an agency owner: they haven't got enough time, they're not making enough money, and they've got staffing issues. That's it. Those are the three issues. So if you've got those issues and then all of a sudden you want to come off one of, if depending on who you are, one of the biggest lead generators in terms of viewings or potentially valuations, that's a big risk. And most people are risk averse.
Of course they are.
They don't want to take that leap, that blind faith. And again, what Ian and Rob were probably saying was true. But regardless of what you tell people, a lot of agents need to be shown it. They need to be evidence of that will work before they'll take that leap, because that's what risk averse people do.
Now, I mean, you're more of a D profile when it comes to the disc profile. So no way, you're off the fucking scale, mate. Okay, basically anyone watching this, just type in the disc as in DISC, disc profiling, and spend a few minutes and you'll see that most valuers are I's. John is a D, which means a dominant personality. He's big picture, not small picture. Loves being in control of the situation, don't you, John? And your biggest fear is being taken advantage of by others.
Yeah.
There you go. I can read you like a book, mate.
Yeah.
And then, but there's not many of your style of personality type in a state agency. But interestingly, if you go to Australia, there are.
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's my point here. So the majority of agents and the majority of letting agents are, letting agents are C, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So they are detail oriented, micro, want to get everything perfect, but fear criticism.
Exactly. The majority of successful business owners are Ds.
Yes, they are.
So if you look at it, I've always said, what am I not? I'm not an estate agent and I'm not a letting agent. I'm a business owner. So is it a surprise that we've done reasonably well in a short space of time with all our branches and systems and what have you, and staff? And yet I'm a D driving the business forward, and I employ I's and I employ S's and C's. So, and by the way, you can change slightly. So Adele...
that was my next question. Can you change?
Yes, you can. So you've always got a dominant one, so a D. So when we did it, out of 20, I was 19D, right? Yeah, the guy had said, it's the highest I've ever seen, which I didn't know what to take as a compliment or a criticism. Anyway, yeah, both really. And I can't remember what Adele was, but she has slightly changed and she actually flipped. So say, for example, she was 60-40. She's changed to 40-60, the other way around. and I've seen her grow as a person, but she's worked very hard on it. So she didn't like confrontation. But when she's gone up through the ranks from branch manager to area manager to MD, she still doesn't like confrontation. She just deals with it.
I know. I'm a classic I type in my natural state, which is the valuer one. But all the good estate agents and myself, and I've seen it in other estate agents, is that you've kind of learned to be a bit more thick-skinned and not care what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Because you don't care an F what someone thinks about you, do you? As long as they're not.
I do care.
Yeah, but not as much as an I-type person.
Oh, listen, definitely not. But you've got to look at it this way: is for instance, right? So I sent an email out. I'm not going to mention his name because it's not nice. I sent an email out to my database asking people to support me for my property mark role, and I got an email back saying there was a spelling mistake. He's not Arla, and his name wasn't what we said. It was like an abbreviated version. I don't want to say it. In fact, I will. We put Si instead of Simon. And he said, like Dragon's Den, I'm out, so I'll never vote for you. Right? And I just thought that was a disproportionate email to send back. And it literally bothered me for about 5 seconds. And I was going to type out this email saying, go F you and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, you know what? I don't care. Literally don't care. Now, probably about 7, 8, 9 years ago, that might have chewed us up for a couple of minutes to say, well, or half a day. What have I done? Should I phone him up? Should I apologise? Should I do this? Should I do that? I genuinely don't care. It doesn't bother me.
I mean, I've had some. It was about a week ago now. Some heavy flack from joining, along with Stephen Brown and Sarah Edmondsman and Michael Day and Sam from Moneypenny, joining the agents charity to get agents together with the bad boys of estate agency, the Bruce brothers. And I've had lots of people, some really nice people, come back to me saying, "Are you okay?" Because the comments were quite vitriolic. And I said this to Stephen Brown on his podcast. Is I think if you put positive, we're all human beings, and we all love positive affirmation and the love of other people, don't we? That's a human need.
Yeah, most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is that we put that on a pedestal, and we crave it and we want it. That's why people love social media.
Yeah.
It's just that when someone's shit comes along, it goes onto the same pedestal, so it screws us up.
It does, but you'll have heard the phrase, everybody's opinions are like arseholes, everyone's got one and think theirs doesn't stink. It's exactly with this. I mean, you go on Property Industry Eye, that looks as though, some of the comments look as though they're failed estate agents.
Yeah.
Or they're stuck in the mud failed estate agents. And would they speak to you? The way I look at it is keyboard warriors and telephone tough guys. I would have a lot of respect for somebody if they spoke to me like that on the phone or email to my face. In 12 years of being in business, no one has ever had the balls to do it. And listen, it's not like, oh, come in, we'll go on the village green at 12 o'clock and we'll duke them out Queensbury rules. It's nothing to do with that. It's the people feel empowered being behind a keyboard, being hard. And we find this with vendors and applicants and tenants and whatnot. I've had disagreements with people face to face, but if it was on a keyboard or if it was on a phone, they would have gone up a notch and they would have thought they were blooming, Liam Neeson off Taken. It's different when it's on the Property Industry Eye or social media. I don't care about them.
I mean, my advice, I genuinely, I think to myself, well, they're having a shit life, and I actually end up pitying them.
Yeah.
And having empathy with them, that if their life is so bad that they have to be vitriolic to someone else,
we call them victors. They're all Victor Meldrews. No matter what they're the sort of people that if they were told they'd won the lottery, they'd complain because they've got to go pick up 10 million quid in a case.
Yeah,
they're that sort of miserable, twisty buggers. So those people, do you care about? You shouldn't.
You shouldn't do, but isn't it amazing that we as human beings, the piece of people closest to us, which is our other halves and our family, we often ignore, and don't take reference to, but we allow someone else who we've never met, who sits behind a pseudonym name, screw our lives up.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
What advice would you give to people to learn how to cope with that?
Deal with it. You're going to get it, right? So so what I see is a lot of people don't take chances because of the fear of criticism, right? Those that do take the chances, the first sign of criticism, they stick their head above the parapet, they get a few pot shots, and then they put it back down again. You are going to get criticised whether you do it or you don't, right? Whatever you do in life. If you've ever sat in the pub and you've heard somebody else criticising someone else, or you've witnessed it or whatever, that happens behind your back. People have opinions about everything and everyone, right? Whether we choose to voice it is a different matter. So with that being said, you can either do what's best for you and get criticised, or sit back and do nothing and get criticised. So what I do is I do what I think is right for me, my family, my business, my staff, and it is literally like water off a duck's back. Yes, I care, but I don't show any emotion whatsoever. And, you know, if you do that in a very short space of time, you know, it's just like, oh, there's another one. It's like just going past you. So just try not to care about it. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say it's easier said than done, but the day you can do something and not give a shit about your critics, take it on board, listen to it, but then
you can't ignore it because they might be right.
They might be right, yeah.
Be right.
And this is another reason why agents don't ask for feedback from the clients.
Especially valuers, when they lose a listing.
They'll only ask the ones that they got. Right. Why did you go with me? Well, because you were this, and this. Oh, fantastic. Fluff my ego a little bit. You want to go ask the ones you didn't get. Yeah. You never, when I was martial arts, I never learned anything from my wins. It was my losses I lost. I learned from.
How do you remain so level-headed when, you know, a lot of people blow smoke up your ass, turning it on its head, you know, getting lots of compliments? Because you do.
Yeah. Again, do you know what? I've got to credit my parents, you know, for giving me that level-headedness, you know, and every time I did something well or whatever, my dad used to say, look, you might be flavour of the month now, son, but you might not be then. Or, I mean, this was before I got into business. This was more of a sporting period, you know, when I started going through the ranks at rugby or martial arts. You know, you're only one punch away from getting knocked out, stop being big. And so I was brought down a peg or two. And then my wife and my kids, they're just brilliant. Like, we joke on about Bella, who's my 4-year-old. She called me a div the other day. Like, she's 4-year-old. And so, like, I'll say it to Gemma, I used to be respected, you know. I used to be somebody back in the day joking on, because when I walk in, I'm just dad. You know, when I walk in, I'm just John to Gemma, my wife. And not that I would ever become big-headed, but even if I did, or even if I, you know, thought I was something I'm not, they would knock me down.
My missus, you know, I've been to a conference, stood in front of hundreds of people, come in, I don't know what you're looking to smoke for, get that dishwasher done.
Oh, honestly, you know, go take the bin bags out, you know, go mow the lawn, you know, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. But you need that, I wouldn't chase it. I'll tell you something else. I've had the same group of mates for 25 years.
There you go.
Right, and I think that, well, I think it says a lot about me. I'll never forget my roots.
Too right.
But I think it says a lot about the fact that I haven't changed.
It's interesting. I was putting out some underpants on the line this morning, and I thought to myself, I wonder if I won't mention their name, but, you know, the person I look up in the industry as the main man, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if he's putting knickers out this morning.
I was getting Jeeves to do it.
Yeah, bless him. Recently, you did a post about not being a knob, and you know, I thought it was quite insightful. The way you talked about, you know, there's a lot of people with some very strong opinions that are not prepared to listen to anyone else. You know, that there's the employed versus self-employed model, independent versus corporate. My marketing is better than someone else's. Yeah. What made you write that article?
Just saying, you know, it's a very sort of political, cultural hot topic at the moment. What's going on in the greater landscape, and it just sort of just sitting there, and I was watching all these, you know, far right, far left people arguing stuff, and it was confirmation bias that they can't listen to them and they can't listen to them. And I just thought, do you know what? There's so many similarities in our industry. You know, the self-employed model against the employed model, on the portals, off the portals, high street and on high street. And I thought, do you know what? It's exactly the same. It's there's so much bias about my way or the highway.
Yeah, I mean, look, talking to self-employed, I'm well known that it is. I'm a big fan of it, but I'm not.
Mm.
I'm not knocking down employed agency. In fact, I spoke with a lady this morning who from the south of England who wanted to start her own agency, but she can't generate business for toffee. And I
Yeah.
said, it ain't for you, love.
Yeah, yeah. You might not be, but others are. So I saw a guy who said, first of all, he started saying, self-employed is the way to go. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's the future of a state agency. Or by the way, if you want to come work for me as a self-employed agent, here's my number. So there was a complete underline. Well, it wasn't even underlined. There was a narrative as to why he chose the way he did.
Yeah.
Now, I know if you're selling, you can't turn around and you can't, shout about or promote the opposing strategy that you use. But when you're getting clickbait titles like "This is the future of a state agency" and certain software is going to revolutionise the agency and the industry and all that, it's just bollocks, and you just come across as a knob, to be honest. And the clear comments on that post, and I think I posted it in your group and a few other groups, and the private messages I got were absolutely phenomenal. Not a single person disagreed with it. And I've never had that. They might have done in private, and I respect them. But every single person said, "Thanks, JP. I'm so bored about that." And I wanted to put it, but I thought I'd get shot down. That's sad when people want to post something to say, "Look, can we all just be friends? Can we all just get along?" And they're a bit nervous that someone's going to say no because High Street's better than working in a shed in the middle of a field, and it's just rubbish.
Where you trade from is relevant. How you're employed is irrelevant. The question is, are you offering a great service to the punters, and are you happy doing it and enough money?
Yeah.
I mean, there is one thing that basically you and I totally disagree on, and we will have the pistols at dawn is the right move pie chart, but we just have to disagree on that one, Mara.
Yeah, it's fine. Listen, you've got to be wrong once, mate.
You're so wrong. You are wrong.
I respect you when you're wrong, and it's good that you admit it. No, listen, and that's the good thing about mates like us. We can agree to disagree, and we can have a very level-headed conversation and still walk away and go, "Do you know what, Chris? You made a lot of points. I respect it." And you can say, "John, you made even better points, and I'm wrong, and you're right." And you can do that as friends, and you've got no problem about that. But I mean, me and you, joking aside, we can do that because we're pals. And I think that's get lost on social media, and aggression or passion comes out sometimes as aggression.
That's the problem. It's like sending text messages or emails. You can't see the context or the tone of the words.
Yeah.
And I think we as a society are so used to texting when in reality just picking the phone up and just saying, "Hey," because it's interesting. Coming back to the on the estate agency today, you have to put your name on, and there was a few people who were slightly derogatory, not nasty, but wondering questions or, "Hey, what are they up to?" So I actually picked the phone up to them, and now this is interesting. You said people are different behind a keyboard. When I actually spoke to them, I actually had a good chat with them, and I won't mention their name because it would be they asked for it to remain anonymous. But one of them, who made a derogatory comment, is now going to be a mentor in the charity.
See, so this is what I mean. It's like this is exactly. I don't want to say this, but cowardice a lot of the time. Like literally, they've got the Billy Big Balls behind the keyboard. You pick up the phone. Some of them will sort of stick to the guns and respect for that, but I reckon a lot will reduce their opinion or take it off. You meet them face to face, that'll fall off a cliff, right? Because everybody's big and tough behind a keyboard, but also sort of you're not saying everybody's like that, but you've probably explained it and articulated it in such a way that they now understand and it came across different. But you marry those two things up about Billy Big Bollocks, and you articulate it better or in a way they understand, you get less issues from them.
Okay, so we've got 5 more minutes before we're going to wrap this bad boy up. What would you mentor a lot of estate agents bosses at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to mention names or specific people, but what are they going through, and what are the win? Not quick. There's no such thing as a quick win, because I think the shortcut is the long game. I've always said that.
Yeah.
But what would you say to them? Let's be honest. A lot of people might not be able to afford you.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to those agents now, knowing what you know about the people that you mentor?
Yeah, so the vast majority of people who have got through this incredibly well and successfully and have navigated the way through the various grants and loans and stuff are the ones that have a really good handle on the numbers and the figures of the business. Now, you will be surprised that around about, in my experience, 80 to 90% of estate agents and letting agents don't have monthly P&Ls. And out of those, say, 20% that do have monthly P&Ls, I reckon 50% don't look at them on a monthly basis. And so you're down to like 10%. And I reckon a further 50% don't interrogate the figures of the numbers. So I reckon there's less than 5% of estate agents, in my experience, that don't look after the numbers and interrogate the data is what they should be. Now, those who have navigated the current issues are the ones that have the monthly P&Ls, your cash flow forecasts, sitting down, planning in when the furlough scheme's going to end, who they're going to bring back. They know exactly what person brings in what income to the business, and so therefore they can traffic light them in terms of, yes, we need to keep that person, or no, we don't. So that's the first thing. The second thing is make sure you train your staff to the highest standard you possibly can, right? Training is one of the first things that goes when the tough times.
Was it there in the first place, mate?
No, you're right. That's a good point, actually. There wasn't a lot. I mean, this is what a lot of people think. There's a piece of paper, a checklist. That's how you do it. You know, you need to do skills matrix, job descriptions, which I'm sick to death. So you guys are probably even more sick hearing about it. But you need to put more time into training than you ever have. Rory McIlroy is not the world's best golfer because he trains once every 6 weeks. You know, he is the best because he trains every day. Ronnie O'Sullivan, Mayweather, when he was boxing, they are the best in the world because they train every day. It is not success leads clues, and it is so important to train.
Because we don't, do we?
We don't. We absolutely don't. We don't make time for it. Our training first, prospecting second, trumps day-to-day working in the business. So we say when you have a training session booked in, I don't care if a £10 million house with a 20% fee comes in, you cancel it or you change it. You do training first and then you do evaluations. That's how important that's the importance we put on training in our business.
Interesting. Anything else before we go?
No, that's it. Just listen, this COVID situation is going to end. Know your numbers, look after your people, and a lot of people who watch these videos are in the various groups, and you've got access to some really good people, really good guys who are prepared to give, and gals who are prepared to give the time away for free, like you, Chris. Take advantage of that.
Thank you, JP. That's been JP versus CW in an Ant and Dec voice. Mate, I'm really looking forward to coming up on the East Coast main line, first class, of course, because they call me first class Chris, and having a chicken parmo at the ship in. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is a bashed out chicken breast, battered, and then put on with parmesan and bechamel sauce with extra cheese on the top, with siding of chips and salad. And they are absolutely amazing. They're half a tackle a plate, but they're amazing, aren't they, JP? As we quaff. In fact, one day we actually, the whole pub ran out of cucumber, didn't they? Because I think we basically destroyed the Hendrix and cucumber. So I'd like to apologise to all the people of Red Marshall that you didn't have cucumber in your salad on that day. JP, it's always a pleasure. It's never a chore. You look after yourself, mate, and keep doing what you're doing for the industry. And hopefully, if we can just change one person's life for the better, we've done a good job, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thanks for having us again.
Cheers, mate.